All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. This is our guy today. It's Andrew Magurany. He played for the Rippers and some other teams over the years. He went to Crown Point High School. He currently is going to Manchester University it's in Indiana. I'm not sure what town is that in.
North Manchester.
North Manchester. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of near Fort Wayne.
Okay. And why don't you go ahead and take it from there, man?
All right, well, just a little bit about myself. Obviously, my name's Andrew Magurany. I go to Manchester, play baseball, but I went to Crown Point High School for 4 years. I only played 1 year of baseball there, though, and I still got the chance to play college baseball, so it's not dependent on high school baseball. So if any of you guys don't play high school and still want to play college, it is possible. I played for the Rippers when we went to the World Series in New York, and that was a really fun experience. Got to play against different competition that I thought I'd never see in my life. There was a lot of guys probably throwing close to 90, upper 80s. It was really good competition, but it was a really good experience just to see that sort of competition and go on the road with all your friends. Like, it was just a really fun time. I play infield at Manchester. I mostly play third base and second base. I have played a little bit of shortstop and on the Rippers and in Crown Point baseball, but third base, second base is usually the main positions. I got into the Manchester baseball program just by reaching out to coaches. So if, like I said, you don't play high school baseball and you still want to play college baseball, you just got to go out there and reach out to programs and coaches and hold up. Sorry about that. They have camps. Most of them have 2 or 3 per year, like some in the spring. They'll have some in the winter. Just go to those, sign up for those, contact coaches, and it's honestly not as hard as a lot of people think. You just got to show that you're willing to put in the effort and the time, and that's the main thing that it takes to play college baseball.
So when you when you contacted that coach, did you contact him through Twitter?
No, they actually, if you go on their websites, most baseball programs or just any college program, if you go on their websites, they're called prospective student, like athlete forms. They're like kind of it's almost like a job application. You just fill out your information, and what they'll do is from there, you can either attach it to like your account as far as like a recruiting account, or you can send in videos like by attaching them. I actually didn't attach anything. They just reached out and they said, "Hey, this is the college coach at Manchester. We saw that you put in a form. Can you send us video or whatever?" So a lot of them will just reach out to you after you fill out those forms on their websites. And that's what I did. I got contacted back by him and he said, "We have a camp coming up and we'd like you to come." So I signed up for the camp and I went. And then from there, I got an email saying that they liked how I did. They thought I was good enough to play there and that they wanted me to come back for a visit as far as like academics goes and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So
Speaking of
yeah.
academics, just out of curiosity, when you graduated high school, what was your GPA, or if you want to divulge that, or close range?
No, it's all right. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't really all that great. But what I did recently find out is that I've had ADHD
Okay.
since I was a kid and didn't even know it, so I wasn't being treated for it.
All right.
So that was a little bit of a struggle because I wasn't being treated for that. But I think it was around like a 2.7. It wasn't great, but there were obviously a lot of people who did a lot worse than that. And I think it would have been a lot better if I had known that I had ADHD all through high school.
Sure. Well, like Pat, we had this dude Patrick Arndt on, and he he said that he graduated with like a 3.0. So
Yeah.
I think a 2.7.
Around
That's
3 is like a good baseline
yeah.
to be.
I don't know. Maybe you
Yeah,
did well
for
on
sure.
maybe you did well on your ACT scores. I don't know.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. I did pretty good on the exams. But yeah, academics is really important too. They're gonna look at that probably more than anything because it shows a lot, not only about, I don't know, it shows a lot about work ethic. I mean, it shows that you're dedicated to school and learning and all that sort of thing. And they want athletes that are willing to learn and they're willing to put in work. So it shows that you're dedicated just in general, because if you're willing to put in the work for school, then you're going to be willing to put in the work for something you enjoy and something you love. So yeah, that is really important.
All right. So what is your major right now?
My major is exercise science. I'm hoping to get into grad school after to get a certification in like physical therapy and that sort of thing. But the overall goal is to be a strength and conditioning coach, whether it's at like some sort of college or for some sort of professional team like that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, cause I see Andrew at the Y all the time, and he's always working out, doing different exercises. That I mean, I don't do some of the stuff you do. So I guess my question, because I know that your workout is a little bit different than mine, as
Yeah,
far as what obviously different than I do, because whatever I've worked out, it's always been heavy weights and pounding it pretty hard for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on the day. And
yeah.
so I guess knowing what you know now, would you have changed your workout back in high school?
Well, I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. I didn't start working out till my senior year of high school.
Yeah,
So the thing I would have changed is actually working out and
yeah,
trying to take the time to get better, not only at baseball, but just like your body in general, because you're going to get so much better at baseball if you take care of your body and get it strong, get it healthy, because you're going to avoid injuries and you're going to also see an increase in performance like power and just the care of your arm. That's just like a really important thing for all baseball players, not just pitchers.
All right. So I guess could you elaborate on that a little bit, like as far as arm
Yeah,
care?
so I have your question here. It says, what exercises would I recommend high school players? Well, the first thing that I would say is to focus on mastering like main lifts and movements such as squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows, and lunges, because those movements that you do in each of those are going to be a key foundation, not only just in baseball, but just as you live life. You're going to want to be able to master movements like that, because in everyday, those are what we call functional movements. They're movements that you do in everyday life. It's deadlifts, so you do bending at the hips, hinging your hips, squatting down to pick something up. Bench press is like pushing, rows, pulling, that sort of thing. So mastering movements like that is probably the most important thing for a high school athlete, because you're not going to really be able to see an increase in strength if you don't master just the movement and the form to begin with. Because if you're doing it wrong and you're not doing it to its proper capability, then you're not going to see any sort of improvement within yourself. So mastering a movement like that is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, because that
So
was going to be
even
one of
like,
my questions, but it's going to be, as far as form goes, would you say that
mhm.
that's probably way more important than your ability to lift heavy weight?
Yeah, and I actually put that on one of the other questions. It was about, do I believe in heavy lifting or something different? And I put that, first off, everybody's different, so I believe in like what works best for you. Some people, they find better success by lifting heavy more often, but personally, what I do is I try to do as heavy as I can while maintaining like proper form. I could probably do a lot more weight than what I usually do, but I want to be able to do as much weight as I can while not sacrificing any bit of form. Because I mean, once you get like the mastery of the form down and that sort of thing, it's okay to test your limits a little bit more. But that's the most important thing, because if you're doing it completely wrong, then you increase the chances of you doing it in a way that's going to get yourself hurt or something like that, and then you won't even be able to play baseball. So I would say that form is probably more important. I think once you get that down, you can feel free to try more weight and do more weight. But my personal opinion on that is doing as much weight as you can while maintaining the proper form, because being solid in your form and going up in weight is what's going to get you stronger, because doing more mass and more weight is going to get you gains, but at the same time, if you're doing it wrong, it's not going to do any benefit for you.
All right. I guess for, let's say, pitchers, should pitchers be looking to bulk up just like any other baseball player, or should their workouts be any different?
Well, there's actually a few different opinions. So some people think that like mass equals gas. I don't know if you ever heard that, but a lot of people say that. But I think one of the most important things for pitchers is just being really, really, really careful on what you do with your shoulders. And I would say that just is for most baseball players. So for pitchers, I like to avoid, and even just baseball players in general, avoid heavy overhead lifts, such as like a barbell press or something like that. If you use kettlebells or dumbbells, what it does is it allows your joints to move more freely and they're not in a locked position. So when you do an overhead press with a barbell, you're holding it with both arms up and you're kind of locking your shoulders in that position. Whereas if you do it with a kettlebell, if it's a little heavy and stuff, you get the freedom to kind of move your joints around and it's not loading that one joint and putting a lot of stress on it. So if you're going to do like barbell press, what I do it, but I keep it really light. I never do heavy. I see some people at the gym, they do overhead press at like 45s and stuff. I probably never go over 25 because it's a good lift to do to get strong shoulders, but you don't want to put too much stress on your shoulder as a baseball player and especially as a pitcher. Another thing that is really important for pitchers is focus on like stretching and that sort of stuff more than anything. You really want to make sure that your arm is loose and your shoulders are loose, especially before you throw and all that. That is really, really important. But I'll have days where I go to the gym and I do like a lot of just band work for my shoulders. Band work is really, really important. There's band pull parts, and they have different variations. You can go across the chest, you can go diagonal, over the head. Doing them like that will hit every section of your shoulder, and really important thing is to like pinch your shoulder blades together because you're getting the retraction of your shoulders and that sort of thing. What else? Drive line is really important if you can and have like the availability of it. I bought the drive line balls and I've noticed like a really, really good increase in my arm care, I guess. I used to have pain while throwing, and just doing drive line and bands and stuff like that, it might not increase your velocity right off the bat, but you're going to feel a lot better as far as your throwing movements go and less pain and stress on your shoulder. So like band work, light dumbbells, drive line, if you have that ability, stuff like that is going to be really important for pitchers, especially.
All right. As far as the driveline balls, how much those cost? I don't even remember. I haven't even picked any up.
Let's see. I think
I'd have to agree.
I think I got all mine for around like $50.
Okay.
So like for a college kid, $50, it was like, oh my gosh, it's $50. But it's really honestly worth it in the long run if you keep up with it and do it. It's going to be worth it because it's going to help you increase velocity in your arms. If you keep up with it consistently, you're going to avoid more injuries. You're going to have better throwing mechanics, stuff like that. They have stuff that covers basically all of that with the balls. You can find programs online that cover basically everything for that. So I really like them. I actually just got back from doing that and hitting. So
okay. Are there any exercises that would help them increase, I guess, their hip rotation or torque or get more power out of their hips?
Yes, I got that down here. So a really good thing for stuff like that is rotational and explosive movement. So using a med ball is really important. You can do slams with the med ball, stuff like that, or you can literally get into like your stance with the med ball in your hand like that, and then focus on separating your hips and your upper body and all that, and just being explosive with it against the wall. So like med ball stuff is really important, as well as like just basic plyometrics, so like jumping and that sort of thing. So long jumps, single leg jumps, stuff like that. You're going to increase the force you put into the ground with your feet, which is really important when you hit.
That's actually interesting you brought that up, because I've been watching Zach Plesac. He'll post some stuff on his Instagram, like some of the stuff he's doing, and he's doing a lot of that stuff. It's like
it's good for pitchers, hitters, everything.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was curious why he always was doing that stuff, and I guess it makes sense now.
Yeah, that stuff's really good. As a baseball player, you do a lot of stuff where you're putting force into the ground. So doing stuff and working on force to the ground, because when you're hitting, you're basically working from the ground. You're stride and separate, and then you're pushing from the ground. And then when you pitch, you kind of push and then you land on the ground, stuff like that. It's basically like training that. When you jump, you're becoming powerful through the ground, stuff like that. I really like the single leg jumps, like single leg broad jump, stuff like that, because as a baseball player, very rarely do you swing while using like both legs or throw with, like, you never do that. So
Right.
I think that those are really important. Med ball stuff's good too.
All right. I guess this is kind of a loaded question, but are there any shortcuts the guys can take to get bigger, stronger, faster, or do they just got to put the time in like everyone else and be consistent?
Yep, that's it. There's no shortcuts. You just gotta trust the process, and it all comes down to dedication. You gotta be dedicated, and you gotta have a goal that you want to achieve. You gotta go into the gym, and you gotta, like, you can't half-ass it. I guess you just gotta put in the work, because if you're not doing it, someone else is. It's simple as that. That's one thing I always try to remember, that if I sit here and I'm lazy in the gym, then there's probably someone who's in the gym that's going to take my spot. I mean, there's no shortcuts around it. You got to be willing to put in the work, and you just got to trust that it's all going to benefit you in the long run.
Oh, so I guess we've talked about supplements on here before. Like some like Caleb and I don't take it, but he takes weight gainer that's got protein. It's a protein weight gainer kind of thing. The shakes are high in calories because he's a hard gainer. I had a hard time gaining weight most of my life, so, and he's the same way. So, are there any supplements that you take, or do you get all your nutrients through food because you have an awesome diet?
So there's two things that I take, and these are probably the most popular and just the most important things you can take. So the first thing is creatine. Creatine is a really, really good thing to take. Creatine monohydrate. It's great for muscle recovery. It improves your energy during your lifts. So when you're lifting, you're able to kind of get more out of your body, I guess. And it's 100% legal. It's 100% legal. It's the most popular supplement used in pretty much every athlete in all sports. What you do, and like where you can find that and how to use it, is you can just go to Walmart and they have like a little package like that. It's creatine, and you just put it in like some Gatorade or something, mix it up, and drink it when you're working out. It's really easy. It's not that expensive. I think I got mine for like $7 or something, and it's like lasting me like a month and a half already.
All right. So So I've taken that stuff in the past, and from what I remember, I think it said on there that you're supposed to cycle it, at least way back in the day.
Yeah.
You still have to do that?
Usually when you buy it, on the back of like the bottle and stuff, it'll tell you you should cycle it and stuff like that. So go by that. Like, I think mine was, for the first week, it wanted me to take it 3 times a day because it wanted my body to kind of like get accustomed to it.
Right.
And then that sort of thing. And then after that first, like, what you want to call it? It's kind of just like it's just like normalizing it. So it's like the phase where your body normalizes it. And then the next week, once your body's kind of gotten adjusted to intaking the creatine, you'll just do like 1 a day, like right before you work out or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. From what I remember, I haven't looked at it in a while, but usually it's like 3 or 4 weeks on, and then like 1 or 2 weeks off or something like that.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, if you ever do take creatine, do not take more than what's set on the bottle.
Always go with the labels. Be very
careful with that stuff, because you can get sick if you take too much of it. So you just follow the directions on there, and don't get too goofy with it. Because I had a friend that actually got sick from it because he was taking too much. And
that's really important. Just, if you go by what the label says, you should be okay. Don't go over that. I mean, if you go under that, then there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going under. But if you start to go over and you start to take too much of it, yeah, you can definitely get sick. But the other supplement, I don't know if you even want to consider a supplement, but just protein.
Yeah.
So like after a workout, having some sort of protein powder, that's really how you're going to get that growth in your muscles. When you've torn them down and worked them, it's going to heal them and heal them bigger. So that's probably the most important thing. If you were going to pick one of those, I would pick protein over creatine any day.
Yeah, I agree. And you guys can get all of that. You guys really don't need supplements, but
no,
they just help, because if you don't have a great diet or you don't have time, like a lot of people live that way. That's just the way it is. These things just help help you along, I guess. They're basically meal replacements or snack replacements.
Mm-hmm.
So like speaking of muscle recovery, is there anything that like outside of I guess is there anything that you do? Is there any do you do anything for specific muscle recovery or do you just rest?
Well, stretching goes a long, long way before and after lifting.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys have the availability to use them or wherever you guys lift, but rollers, those are your best friend. Being able to roll is going to help so much. And it's not only important for just like recovery and stuff, but it's going to help you progress and strengthen because you're gonna dig into those muscle fibers, you're gonna loosen them up, and it's gonna be able to take on more mass and just build more muscle to it. So a roller is really good. I like to, I do it, I do it every day. There's some days when I don't lift, I just roll. So doing that's really important. It's gonna keep your muscles loose and it's gonna help you avoid injury, which is probably the most important thing. Stretching too. I know a lot of people stretching can be boring, so they just skip it. But skipping stretching can hurt you big time if you don't do it, especially if you do it and then you go in the gym and you just try to do a bunch of weight. That can be really bad. You need to loosen up those muscles first and keep your ligaments and all that stretched out. Helps avoid injury. But personally, before and after lifting, if you're going to do one, do it before for sure. But before and after lifting is really good to do.
Okay. Are you basically just rolling the muscles you're gonna work out or you did work out? Or you just
I
kind of do
do
your whole
I
body?
do all of them every day,
Okay.
honestly, because if you do an upper body day and then a leg day, I roll out before my next workout on the parts that I'm sore from the upper body day. If I'm doing a lower body day, I'm rolling to like loosen up, and then I'm rolling my upper body to kind of like help recover it, I guess, from the day before from that upper body.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So like in when I put my workout, I put a whole workout together for the guys, for them to
Mm-hmm.
do. I purposely left out deadlifting and some of that stuff only because I don't do that anymore because I'm older and I
Yeah,
don't I don't need to do that stuff and I have a sensitive back, so
yeah.
I didn't include it. So if you guys aren't doing deadlifts, you guys can go ahead and incorporate that on back day. But some of the stuff that I do is instead of doing that, even though I know that's a really good workout, but I stopped doing those.
Yeah, well, there's some good like alternatives. If you don't want to use the bar and stuff, you can use dumbbells. You can do single leg with the dumbbell, stuff like that,
Mhm.
and it's going to work those hamstrings and those muscles, and you're going to hinge at the hips just as you would if you're using a trap bar or a barbell. So you can do them all sorts of different ways to like incorporate that movement.
Do you have a favorite leg workout or leg exercise you like to do? Because like most guys, I don't like
Well,
leg day, but
yeah, that's one thing I put in here is don't skip leg day. I
yeah,
know
we
a lot of
actually have
people.
two of them, 2 leg days a week. We're supposed to be doing so.
That's good. I think a lot of people can agree legs is less fun than doing upper body. But if I had to pick a favorite, probably squats. I like squats a lot. They're really, really good in not just baseball players, but all athletes. It's one of those things, like I said, you're working, pushing through the ground and the force through the ground. You're working your glutes and all that stuff that you're going to need while throwing, hitting, everything like that. I think squats is probably my favorite thing. And just in terms of that, it does the most for you, works the most.
Okay. Do any of you guys have any questions for Andrew by chance? Anyone? All right, man. I guess that's it. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem. And then I can make you a Google Doc or whatever with just some of the stuff on it, and I can send it to you, and you can send it to them so they have something to kind of base their workouts off of,
No, I
or
appreciate
just
it.
to. Yeah, no problem. I don't mind at all.
All right, buddy. Yeah, thank you for your time, man. And
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Good luck this season.
Thank you. You too.